If you knew who killed Tupac, would you tell the police?
Absolutely not. I don't get paid to solve homicides.
Turning now to the renewed investigation into the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur.
That he was in the Cadillac, the white vehicle that pulled up beside Suge Knight and Tupac on that Las Vegas Strip, but it's not clear yet who is the actual shooter.
Prime suspect in the killing, that had been reported in the Los Angeles Times.
Shocking new footage of Tupac has sent the internet into absolute meltdown, dragging a 28-year-old murder back into the spotlight with the force of a bomb. The clip is so wild, so brutally unexpected that fans are suddenly frozen in disbelief, asking the same question all over again. How is this even possible? And the truth is simple. This footage erupted across the world, tearing apart every certainty about Tupac's death and igniting chaos that refuses to die.
Spotlight turns toward this new suspect, Keffi D.
The so-called new footage of Tupac didn't just show up, it erupted. And the reactions are pure chaos. Some people cried. The government had finally slipped up after hiding the truth for almost 30 years.
Keep walking back, take a step to your left, step to your left.
And what made the timing so wild is that this didn't happen randomly. It hit right when the Tupac case was back in the headlines because of the 2023 indictment of Dwayne Keith D. Davis. Emotions were already stirred up, old wounds reopened, and people were once again debating who killed Tupac, why, and what was covered up. Then this clip showed up like someone tossed a grenade onto a campfire.
Long believed the gunman is likely already dead, the victim of a separate shooting 2 years after the drive-by shooting of Shakur. The current investigation could lead to an accomplice who was in the car with the gunman that night.
Within hours, the thing crossed millions of views. The algorithm probably thought the world was witnessing a resurrection. Comment sections turned into gladiator arenas. People brought up everything. Machiavelli theories, Cuba sightings, the faked death rumors, all of it. Investigators were immediately calling the clip fake, but the public wasn't hearing logic. They'd waited decades for answers, closure, or hope. And when it comes to Tupac, hope doesn't die easily.
Police order him out of the home and then move in to begin searching for a list of items that could tie him to the murder.
Because losing Tupac never made emotional sense. His voice wasn't just music. It carried pain, intelligence, rebellion, softness, philosophy. People connected to him like he was a family member they never met. So when this clip appeared, fans weren't just curious. They were ready to believe. They wanted one more sign, one more heartbeat of the legend who left far too soon. But to understand the explosion this footage caused, you have to go back to the night everything changed. Las Vegas, September 7th, 1996.
Shakur was shot multiple times while sitting in the passenger seat at a red light near the Las Vegas Strip in 1996.
Tupac had just left the MGM Grand after watching Mike Tyson's fight. Inside that crowded lobby, cameras caught a moment that became one of the most important clues in the entire case. Tupac and his crew confronting Orlando Anderson. You can still find the footage, fists flying, people yelling, and Tupac right in the center of the chaos. That wasn't a random scuffle. It was the match that lit a fuse already soaked in gasoline.
Yeah, so Dwayne Davis, or Keffi D, as many people know him to be, has long said that he knows who the shooter is. And even Suge Knight, I believe, has come out and said he knows who the shooter is. He was...
Less than an hour later, Tupac got into Suge Knight's black BMW. They were heading to Club 662, windows down, music blasting, fans yelling Pac's name from the sidewalk. Then at a stoplight on Flamingo Road, a white Cadillac pulled up on the passenger side. No shouting, no warning, just gunfire. Fast, precise, deadly. 4 bullets hit Tupac in the chest. Suge was grazed by 1. Within seconds, people at the intersection froze, screamed, ducked, or ran toward the car shouting Tupac's name.
You can hear the officers calling out the man living inside, Dwayne Keith Davis, known as Keffi D, who has claimed he is one of only 2 surviving eyewitnesses to the murder of Tupac Shakur.
Paramedics arrived quickly. They pulled him out, performed emergency care right on the pavement, then rushed him to the hospital. Outside, crowds gathered almost instantly, crying, praying, shaking, wanting updates. But inside the hospital, the picture was even more heartbreaking.
The rapper was at the height of his career, having just released his 4th solo album called All Eyes on Me. It was in a BMW with Death Row Records founder Suge Knight at the time of the shooting.
Tupac was fighting for his life. Doctors removed one of his lungs trying to stabilize him. He drifted in and out of consciousness while machines kept him alive. For 6 days, there were endless rumors. He was getting better, he wasn't. He was talking, he wasn't. And Suge Knight didn't help with the confusion. One interview, he'd act calm. Another, he'd claim Tupac was fine. Fans didn't buy it. Even today, people still side-eye everything Suge ever said about that week. Then came the announcement no one was ready for. Tupac was gone.
Breaking news, an arrest has been made in connection with the Tupac Shakur murder. Las Vegas police have arrested a man on suspicion of murder in that 1996 drive-by shooting of the famous rapper. For more, let's get straight to our ABC's.
But instead of closure, the world got a storm of doubts. The updates were vague. The timeline felt odd. And every tiny inconsistency became fuel for theories. So decades later, when new footage appeared, footage people claimed showed Tupac alive after he was declared dead, it triggered deep emotional memories. It didn't matter how many autopsy records had already confirmed the injuries. It didn't matter that witnesses, staff, and police all agreed on the same timeline. The clip poked directly at the part of the world that never accepted Tupac was truly gone.
Now, all of this began when, back in July, police in Las Vegas went to a home right outside of the city to do a raid. They did a search. It's not clear what they were looking for, but we know that they were looking for items in connection to Tupac's murder.
And that's why this story resurfaced like a volcano. Not because the footage was legit, but because the pain behind the legend has never healed. But the next twist didn't come from fans. It came from the investigation itself. Let's talk suspects, gang wars, and the one confession that cracked open old theories like eggs.
Knight, CEO of Shakur's record label Death Row Records, was in the driver's seat. Knight is currently in prison for a 2015 fatal hit and run. He's refused to share with police any details about the shooting.
First, Orlando Anderson, a name forever tied to the MGM fight. That altercation wasn't a minor moment. Police long believed it sparked the retaliation shooting, but Anderson never confessed, never faced trial, never even fully defended himself. Months after Tupac's murder, Anderson was killed in a separate gang shooting. And just like that, the case lost its biggest suspect. No testimony, no trial, no answers.
Killed Tupac, would you tell the police?
Absolutely not. I don't get paid to solve homicides.
For decades, the investigation hit a brick wall until Dwayne Keefe D. Davis suddenly stepped into the spotlight in 2023 like he'd been waiting backstage. He openly admitted he supplied the gun used to kill Tupac. His tone? Almost casual, like he was recounting a barbecue story, not one of the most infamous murders in music history. His indictment didn't just shock the public, it reopened every theory people thought was long dead. Who else was involved? What wasn't said? What was hidden? And once people started revisiting the case, the autopsy files surfaced next. Another emotional earthquake.
Suge Knight being the man who was in the vehicle with Tupac when he was shot and killed, but so to speak, the code of the streets, they've never said it. We've seen memoirs from Keefe D come out talking about it, and that's probably what was seized when they executed that search warrant of his home.
When officials finally released the medical details to the 2023 grand jury, it was the first time the world saw the full medical picture. 4 gunshot wounds, surgical intervention, the removed lung, and the severe trauma that made survival impossible. On paper, the autopsy shut down every "he lived" theory. But because these files weren't public for years, conspiracy theories thrived. Fans asked, why hide the photos? What aren't they telling us? Even though the answer was simple, ethics and privacy, the secrecy created a vacuum and conspiracies rushed in.
A white Cadillac pulled up next to them and fired roughly 14 shots. Tupac was hit 4 times and died days later.
When the grand jury finally saw some of the medical material, the internet twisted it immediately. Some creators literally turned still hospital images into fake video clips. Suddenly, the world was sharing false footage of Tupac waking up after death, and the wildfire restarted.
Is that Dwayne Davis has been arrested. He is being booked right now. We don't know what his charges are, but they are forthcoming. And this is someone that is known to investigators. You may recall that Dwayne Davis put in a 2019 memoir.
But no Tupac story exists without the conspiracy machine, the Machiavelli codes, the sightings, the body double debate, and of course, Suge Knight's cryptic comments. Tupac studying Machiavelli, the philosopher known for faking one's death, sparked endless theories. His Machiavelli album didn't help. Then came the sightings. Cuba, South Africa, Belize. Tupac apparently living his best life everywhere except Earth.
The shots came from the back. Who shot Tupac?
They keep it for the code of the streets. It just came from the back.
After the autopsy evidence resurfaced in court, the hospital body double theory exploded. People claimed the injuries didn't match. Others said the hospital photos looked too clean. Some insisted it wasn't Tupac in that bed at all. And Suge Knight. He'd hop into interviews dropping vague comments like seasoning on a conspiracy stew, never confirming, never denying, just enough to keep the flames alive. Now the biggest question, what was that new footage that stunned everyone?
A copy of Davis's book, Compton Street Legend, was also seized according to the search warrant. In the newly obtained body-worn camera video, officers are seen talking to Davis.
When people finally traced its origin, the truth was anticlimactic. It wasn't from a vault, it wasn't leaked by an insider, and it definitely wasn't Tupac walking out of a hospital alive. It was a sloppy cocktail of misinterpreted evidence, old hospital photos, and heavily edited clips repackaged as something new. But people believed it because the emotional wound never healed. The footage was fake. The attachment wasn't. And that leads us to the aftermath.
Las Vegas police raided Davis's wife's home in Henderson, Nevada. Now, at the time, police were apparently looking for items concerning the murder of Tupac. Police reportedly seized computers, a cell phone, a hard drive, several .40 caliber bullets.
Once Keith D got indicted, the world suddenly became full-time detectives again. People resurfaced old interviews, zoomed into screenshots, reanalyzed timelines like they were preparing for FBI exams. The indictment made the case feel open again, even though legally the story was clearer than ever.
Las Vegas police have someone in custody who they say was somehow involved in the shooting death of hip-hop icon Tupac Shakur.
But emotionally, fans still didn't feel closure. The tragedy happened too suddenly, too violently. Tupac was too young, too powerful, too influential for people to accept he was gone. And psychology backs it up. When someone larger than life disappears, the mind rejects it. Tupac wasn't supposed to die at a Vegas stoplight, so fans rewrote the ending in their hearts. His legacy shows why. Over 75 million albums sold, global influence in music, film, activism, culture. Tupac shaped generations. That's why every new leak, even if recycled, makes headlines. And here's the final reveal. The real reason Tupac's story cannot die. Tupac didn't become immortal because he survived that night. He became immortal because the world can't stop searching for him.